What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to discuss the 10 reasons women love older guys. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Nick Francis, salute. We're going to start today's video off with story time with Uncle Jeff and flash back to a time when I originally learned firsthand that women love older guys. The year is circa, we're not going to worry about the year, let's just say I was in high school and I had recently broken up with one of my first high school girlfriends. Beautiful girl, just didn't work out. Fast forward about a month later, I'm waiting on the school bus to go home and I see her hopping into a BMW 3 Series. And who's helping her into a car? A guy that seemed a little bit older than me and better dressed than me. Now, a couple weeks later, I saw her in the hallway and I pulled her to the side. We had broken up on pretty good terms, but I was curious. What were you doing with this older dude? And she broke it right down to me. Jeff, he's more mature than you. He can talk about more than sports and rap music. He has a car. And to be honest, Jeff, sometimes you're just immature. Now, suffice it to say, that stung. Even though I didn't take it that well back then, it was a life lesson. Women love older guys, but I also realized it was for good reason. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's video. On today's video, we're going to talk about why women love older guys and how a lot of it is just natural. Without further delay, let's talk about the 10 reasons women love older guys. The first reason women love older guys is one that my ex-girlfriend in high school explained to me. It's the fact that women mature much more quickly than we do. Now, around that time, I was probably 16, she was 16 as well, but my maturity level was probably 12, while hers was probably 18. And here's the thing, that doesn't make me out of the norm. Most of us guys mature much more slowly than women do. And if that's the case, a lot of times a woman's maturity level would be more compatible with an older guy. They'll have more to talk about. They'll be more able to relate to each other. And that leads to much more compatibility. It takes a long time for most of us to catch up to the maturity level of women our same age. So if we're on average much more immature than women in the same age range, it only makes sense you'll be attracted to an older dude who's more mature. Which piggybacks quite nicely into the next reason why women love older guys. Women love older guys because they're more knowledgeable. Think back to the example I just gave you, when my high school girl said all I ever talked about was sports and rap. To be honest with you, that's all I really knew about or had interest in at that time. I can imagine for a young lady who's already more mature than me, that led to some pretty boring conversation. That's because as a young man, I hadn't had the chance to take in more experience and broaden my knowledge base. On the other hand, an older guy has had that opportunity. Therefore, it only makes sense that a woman's going to enjoy the company of an older man more because the conversation will be better. She won't just have to hear about the Philadelphia Eagles and Jay-Z. I'm sure that can be very boring very quickly. That's why older guys have another advantage of being more knowledgeable. Women also tend to love older guys because older guys tend to be more stable in a wide range of areas. One of the innate things that women find attractive is stability in men. It's just in their DNA. Women have a primal drive to want to have a family. A stable man is going to provide a more stable environment for a potential wife and potential children. So consciously and subconsciously, a woman is going to be attracted to stability. And it's not rocket science to know an older man is going to be more stable than a younger man. Stability is very attractive to women of any age, whether consciously or subconsciously. And because an older guy tends to be much more stable, a woman will find that very attractive. Another distinct advantage older guys definitely have over younger guys, an older guy is much more likely to know how to treat a lady. Now, I will admit personally, learning how to treat a woman for me was on-the-job training. A lot of trial and error, mostly error. And that tends to be true for every guy. We don't come out of the womb knowing how to treat a woman. It's something you learn through experience, something you learn throughout different relationships. You'll find out what works, what doesn't work, and you'll also appreciate the benefit of being a gentleman. Like I said, learning how to treat a woman is definitely on-the-job training. Your first few girlfriends probably didn't have it that good. But as you get older, a little more wiser, and acquire more experience dealing with the opposite sex, you'll naturally learn how to treat a woman better. Another reason women love the older guys tend to be less dramatic. Think about it. When you were a younger guy, that's when you got into more fights. That's when you might have been the loud, obnoxious guy at the party. You tended to be much more volatile, thus much more dramatic. That's not appealing to a woman. But as a man matures, he becomes less dramatic. Not so many bar fights. The older guy is not acting like the younger guy who's calling attention to himself. Further illustrates an older guy's maturity level, which is very appealing to a young lady. The loud, obnoxious, dramatic guy who's always having confrontations, not very appealing. But the older guy who's settled down, doesn't need to be in the center of attention, and doesn't need to fight everybody, he's less dramatic and more appealing to that younger lady. Next up is a reason I'm sure a lot of you guys on the other side of this camera have been screaming throughout the video. Yes, one of the reasons women love older guys are more financially stable. But not just the gold diggers. Women are innately attracted to men who make more money for a very valid reason, in my opinion. What's the main two jobs of a man, at least a traditional man like I think? To provide and protect. And a woman has a primal attraction to a man who can provide for her. I honestly don't see a problem with that. Your job is to be able to provide. And I have no problem with a quality woman expecting you to be able to. And of course, it's a little more difficult as a younger guy to be able to provide because you're not deep into your career yet. The older guy, once again, has the advantage. He's been working longer, saving longer. His salary has increased several times as opposed to yours. So yes, women do care about money. And I believe they should. It's natural. One of the most important jobs that a man has to do, be able to provide. An older guy just so happens to be able to do it much more readily. Something else that women find very attractive in older guys tend to be much more dependable and reliable. Think about it. The older you've probably become much more disciplined, much more reliable, and much more dependable. It's just natural. To be honest with you, 17 or 20-year-old Jeff wasn't very reliable. But as I've become older, much more disciplined, you can count on me to do what I say and say what I mean. This is another indicator of stability, a primary drive in women. Let's be honest, when we're younger men, we kind of can be all over the place. Unreliable, not dependable, and lacking discipline. Very unattractive to young ladies. So as you grow older, become more dependable and more reliable, you become more attractive to women. Another trait that women definitely find appealing in older guys, an older guy tends to know what he wants. Now think about it. When you're a younger guy, you're still trying to figure things out. And one of those things you're trying to figure out is yourself, your direction in life, what you want to do with your life. And there's nothing wrong with that when you're younger. However, that lack of direction and not knowing where you're going isn't appealing to a young lady. It just isn't. That's why an older guy who tends to have a sense of purpose, knows where he wants to go, is on the path to getting there or already there, that's very appealing to the young ladies. If you're anything like me, in undergrad, you might have changed your major 3 or 4 times. You were still trying to figure things out. And that's one of the things you're supposed to do when you're young. However, it's not appealing to the young lady. She's going to be much more attracted to the older guy who knows what he wants. Now, another personality or character trait a man starts to develop as he gets more mature and the ladies find appealing, an older guy tends to be much more patient, caring, and kind. A younger guy a lot of times will lack patience. We're here and there, all over the place, going 100 miles an hour. A younger guy doesn't have much patience for himself, let alone others. And with patience comes caring and kindness. Not being a sucker, not being a simp, but you can be very kind, understanding, and empathetic. An older guy has tended to see more, been through more, and understands where the other person is coming from, allowing him to be much more patient, and allows him to express kindness to others, including a young lady. As a man gets older, through experience, hopefully he becomes much more wise. A wiser man tends to be much more patient, understanding, caring, and kind, all appealing traits to women. And with this patience usually comes another personality trait that older guys, which women find very attractive. Older guys tend to be much more stable mentally and emotionally. Here's the thing, with experience, going through life's ups and downs, trials and tribulations, men learn how to weather the storm. And most of the time, they come out on the other side of that storm a better man for it. And not only that, he can share these experiences with the young lady. If she's going through something, he may have already experienced it, and he'll be able to help guide her through. If at that moment she's feeling emotionally or mentally unstable, he can provide stability. He can help her weather that storm. This is very appealing. If she knows when she hits a rough spot in her life, she can depend on the man in her life to maybe provide just a shoulder or an answer, that's very comforting and very appealing. The mental and emotional stability that a man tends to acquire as he gets older, women love it. Now, high school Jeff didn't understand these things quite well. He just was hating on the guy in the BMW 3 Series. But as I stepped back and got older, I've learned there's reasons why women love older guys. If you think about it, it's just natural. Now make sure you let me know in the comment section, ladies, did I get it right? Why did you like that older guy? And fellas, don't be afraid to share your horror stories when the cool college guy took your girl.